Hiya! It's me, Sally, in case you don't know who I am. Long time no see, I've not been here in a while. Where have I been? Well, I have actually been here, just not on the videos. I've been doing lots of baking classes and I've met so many of you this year and it has been absolutely wonderful, and I've really enjoyed meeting you and teaching you all sorts of things like how to decorate a cake, how to do really fancy piping, how to bake delicious cupcakes and brownies and cookies and whatnot. I've got loads of classes in the new year as well, which probably would make for a really good Christmas present. So put that on your list. There is still time to ask for that from Santa. Head to bakingclasses.co.uk and book onto one of my classes. I would love to see you guys next year, and thank you to everybody that's already been. Anyway, enough about me, let's crack on with this video. So I've been roped back in to show you something Christmassy because, in case you didn't realize, Christmas is very nearly here. So I thought today we would make a little Christmas tree. So it's a decorating video, but something we haven't done in absolutely ages is anything with sugar paste. So I thought I'm gonna make a sugar paste Christmas tree. And this actually reminds me of one of the first cakes I ever made, which was at Christmas, and it was sugar pasted like a stocking. I actually put it on my crumbs and doilies application form. I got the job, so win-win. So anyway, let's get started. So the first thing I've got here is some chocolate cake. Now I'll put the quantities that you're going to need to make this size cake. This chocolate sponge, you can make whatever flavour you want. You might want to do vanilla, maybe something Christmassy. I know the guys did some kind of Christmas cake here recently. You could do that sponge if you wanted to, but for me, Christmas is chocolate. So the tree is going to be in 3 levels. We're going to make each of them separately and then we're going to build it up at the end. So I've made some little templates here that I'm going to use as a size guide. So you can see that they kind of angle inwards because I want each piece to overhang the next so that it looks like a tree. So I'm going to cut out my pieces using circle cutters, and I've sized the circle cutters to be the size of the widest part of each section of tree. Making sense? I don't know. It will. Let's just crack on. So I'm going to cut out 2 circles of each size because I'm going to have 2 layers of cake. So we'll cut all of these out quickly. So I'm just going to grab my turntable, and I've got some white chocolate ganache that we're going to use to fill and to crumb coat. I like to use ganache when we're using sugar paste because it's much firmer, much easier to work with when we put the sugar paste on. My bottom piece I'm actually going to do on this little board so that we can move it around, but also I've made these little stands to sit on, so it needs some kind of support under there because I'm crafty. So, a little bit of ganache to stick the cake onto the board. Take one piece, put it on top. Then we're going to take a nice big blob of this delicious white chocolate ganache and plop it on top of the cake. And then I'll put my second piece of cake on top, turning it upside down as usual, and then just give it a little pat down to make sure that it's properly stuck. Now it is time to do a little bit of carving to make our cakes go inwards, like this. Now we're going to grab my first one, my big one, and I'm actually going to make another mark in the top so I know where I'm cutting down from. So I have sized this cutter with the top of this piece, like that. Now I'm going to pop that on the top, try and get it in the middle as much as possible, and all I'm going to do is just push down. I don't really want to cut like through it, I just want to make a mark on the top like this, and now I've got a guide for cutting. So as I'm cutting down, I'm trying really hard not to cut anything from the bottom, because remember, we want this piece to overhang the one below. So I really don't want to make this any thinner. So as well as checking that this piece overhangs the bottom piece, I'm also just checking that the top is thin enough so that the top piece overhangs it like that. So just doing lots of little checks as we go, and you can see I'm hardly taking any but like amount of cake off each time, because it really is better to do this little by little, because if you cut a massive chunk off, I mean, you could stick it back on, but it'd be really annoying. So it takes a bit of time, but slow and steady wins the race. I'm just going to move on to the top piece. Now, of course, I need to make this into a point. So I'm just going to, again, little by little, starting on the top layer, trimming it down, and eventually it's going to look like a nice pointy treetop. So I've now got my 3 carved pieces of cake. They're not looking like super neat or anything, but don't worry. What we're going to do now is give these a coating of ganache, and ganache is great to do because it sets hard and you can almost kind of carve it. So we're really going to shape these pieces now using our ganache. We'll put a recipe in the description box below. So just kind of spreading it around, trying to cover the whole thing first. So you can see when I'm doing this, I'm holding my palette knife at an angle like this, and that's what's going to give us that kind of nice straight shape. And all I'm doing is trying to keep my right hand in one position and turn the cake through it. And you can see it's already starting to look much more even all the way around. There are my 3 pieces of cake, looking slightly more tree-like at the moment. Now we just want to put these in the fridge to firm up. The ganache sets really quickly, like it's not sticky anymore, but I want it to be hard so that we can apply some pressure when we're putting our sugar paste on. So I'm going to put them in the fridge for about 10 to 15 minutes. So our little tree pieces are nice and firm, so now it is time to sugar paste. So I've got my sugar paste here. It's green, obviously, those trees are green. So I've given it a little knead to warm it up, because when it comes straight out the packet, it can be really kind of stiff, and we don't want it to be all dry and cracky. So when you open your sugar paste, you just want to give it a really good knead to make it nice and warm. It's a bit like blue tack or chewing gum or mussels or something. Like you need to warm it up for it to become stretchy. So there we go. Now we're going to roll it out. So I'm going to do it on my surface here. So I'm going to use a little bit of corn flour to help it from sticking. And then I've got my rolling pin here, which is non-stick, which is great, but we want to try and avoid too much corn flour getting onto the top of our sugar paste. So let's get rolling. So what we're going to do is just do a little forwards and backwards motion, and then I'm going to lift the sugar paste up and turn it 90 degrees so that it doesn't get stuck to the surface, but also it's going to help us roll out a bit more of a round shape. So when I'm rolling, I'm trying to keep a really nice even pressure throughout. So I'm going to sugar paste the whole of these pieces, so the top, the sides, and also the bottom, because remember these are going to go inwards a little bit, and so you'll get that kind of overhang. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually sugar paste the bottom of them. So I'm going to flip this upside down. I'll show you the proper way to do it. Put it over the rolling pin and then lay it down here. And then because these don't have any icing underneath, we're just going to pop a little bit on them just to give them something to stick to. Okay, so it doesn't need to be super duper neat. So now I'm going to pick it up, flip it back around the right way and plop it on top. So then we take the craft knife and we're going to run it around the edge of our cake. You can do this little by little. One done. Now we'll do the same for the other 2 pieces. Okay, so I'm going to take my craft knife again and I'm going to cut out a large circle of sugar paste. It needs to be quite a bit bigger than the bottom of our first piece of tree, because remember it needs to wrap all the way over the top and down the sides. Before I put it onto my cake, I've got a little paintbrush here and just some water, and I'm going to dab a little bit of water on the sugar paste from the base. This just means it's got something to stick to. So then carefully pick up that bit of sugar paste and lay it over the top of the cake. And now we're going to use our hands very lightly to start pressing it down. We're going to go round a little bit by little. We don't want to just force it down because you'll get folds and pleats in there. If you do start to get a fold, just open it out very lightly and then smooth your hand over it. And if you do this bit by bit, eventually it will be nice and smooth and you won't have any creases. Once the excess is gone, you can see it's a little bit raggedy around the edges, so I'm using this soft cake smoother just to kind of iron out the creases. Like, sugar paste is really great that if you gently rub it, any little creases or fingerprints or marks can disappear. I'm going to very carefully turn them upside down, as remember this tree is tiered, so we might see that little joint. So pulling the side bit in and just gently rubbing it with your finger, and again, it should hide the crack. Okie dokie, so now it is time to stick these together. I've got a little bit of royal icing here, which makes for the perfect glue. So a little bit on top, and then we'll take middle piece of tree and pop it on. And then before we squish it down, I'm gonna get down low and make sure that it does look kind of central. Piece number one. And then we'll take our top piece, pop it on top like this. So to stabilize this, even though we've put the glue in, I'm going to stick a rod down the middle. I like to twist when I put pillars in because I feel like it helps to keep them straight. I'm going to add some snow to the bottom of each tier of my tree, and I'm going to do that by using this really cool extruder that I bought for like £7, and I think it's the best £7 I've ever bought. So you basically unscrew the end of it here, and then I've put a sausage of white sugar paste inside it, and it's got all these different kind of, they're not nozzles, but little discs that have got different size and shapes, holes in it. You put that in the end, screw it on so it's tight, and now when I start screwing the end, it is magical. How freaking cool. So you don't want to hold this up too high because sugar paste is super duper soft and it will stretch it, and so you won't get like a really nice even shape. It's squeaky and also it might break as well. Just going to cut the end off here. So to stick the snow onto the tree, I'm going to use some edible glue. So just taking a tiny bit at a time on the paintbrush. If you put too much on, then the snow is just going to slip right off. So a little bit all around the bottom of each tier of the tree. And now I'm going to cut a small section of snow off at a time to make it easier to handle, and I'm going to gently push it into where the glue is. And now I'm making it a little bit kind of wibbly rather than trying to get it dead straight because it'll look cuter and more snow-like. So snow is on, and I think it's looking super cute already, if I do say so myself. And now I've just made a whole bunch of decorations that are going to go on it, starting with some letters to Santa. So I just rolled out and cut a little rectangle of white sugar paste, and I've piped on Dear Santa and added a little stamp as well. I'm going to stick this on with some royal icing because it's really, really strong. It's made with egg white, so it sets super duper firm. So I'm going to put a whole bunch on the back there, and then I think I'm going to put this one here like this. I'm just going to hold it on for like only a few seconds, like it does stick pretty quickly. Cute. And I might put another one of those around the back as well, seeing as I made 5. Next, I have some candy canes that I made, and I did this. They're really easy to make. I used my extruder again, but you could just roll sausages by hand. Red and white, stuck them together, twisted them, and then sort of rolled them with my hands to make them nice and smooth. and cut them and folded them over at the top. Now you can see like all of these decorations are really nice and hard, so I made them last night so they had time to set, because otherwise they would just lose their shape straight away. So again, I'm going to use a little bit of royal icing. I've cut such a small hole from this piping bag because I don't really want to see that icing. And next up, I'm going to put some lights on. Maybe they're baubles, you decide. So I've got a few different colours of sugar paste here. I'm just rolling a little ball between my fingers and then squishing it until it's flattened off a little bit like that. And then I'm going to take a bit of the edible glue, pop it on, and then we'll place them sort of scattered around, and then you can just push it into place. And she is done. I'm really pleased with it. I think it's super duper cute, and I actually had a lot of fun making it. I really enjoy working with sugar paste, so maybe this is the sugar paste comeback vid. I really want to do some more. A lot of people actually ask me about sugar paste and whether I'm going to do any classes in sugar paste, and I would really like to, because it is something that I used to do a lot of many years ago. So watch this space. I just need to kind of have a little practice and get my brain back in sugar paste gear. So yeah, stay tuned for that, and if you do want to come to one of my classes, I would absolutely love to see you there. Head to bakingclasses.co.uk or follow me on Instagram at Sally Dowes as well, and I'll post whenever I have new classes or spaces come available, anything like that. But get it on your Christmas list, along with all the other crumbs and doilies goodies that you can get here. Dane did his fabulous, the gift guide, Dane's gift guide, which was a lot of lols. So if you want to get a last minute gift for somebody, head over to that video and have a little look. I believe it is Christmas next week, so have a very Merry Christmas or very Merry festive period, and I hope you will get a break, chill out for a little bit, and I hope to be back in the new year, maybe with Dane. We'll do another cookie recipe, it has been requested. Okay, have a great break and we'll see you soon. Bye. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell. Can we sing that, or is it copyright? Doo-be-doo-doo.